We're in the sand dunes of South Australia to drive this. It's the all-new Mitsubishi Triton. Brand new from the ground up, blank piece of paper. This is a pre-production car built a few months before the actual production version. We're getting a first taste here in Australia. Obviously, it's the third biggest selling dual cab ute, a very important vehicle, one of the most important vehicle launches of 2024. Even though it is November 2023, it won't be until 2024 that we get a first proper drive of this dual cab ute in the urban environment, on road and stuff like that. So this will be a very early taster. What's new? There's a brand new interior, brand new chassis, an updated, effectively brand new 2.4 litre twin turbo diesel 4-cylinder. And in this video, we're going to get behind the wheel, jump in the back seat, show you the tray, give you a little bit of a taster of this really important new dual cab ute. Stick around for that. Of course, if you have any early comments, leave them in the comment section below. Subscribe for more Australian review videos like this. But for now, let's get into it. Okay, let's have a quick look at the exterior of the Triton. Obviously, it's a brand new car, brand new design, and getting a dual cab ute, you want something that is imposing and tough. And well, it's entirely subjective whether you think you get that from this vehicle or not. But what you do get is a larger dual cab ute compared to the previous generation. It's longer, 50 millimeters wider, has 130 millimeters added to the wheelbase, giving more space in the second row and a slightly longer tray. But obviously here, this is the GSR, this is the range topping model, and you get the blackened wheel arches, the square design of the wheel arches as well, blackened little bits of exterior pieces and what have you. But yes, it is an entirely subjective thing, so let us know in the comments below whether you think this dual cab ticks the boxes for you styling-wise. All right, now let's have a very quick look at the heart of the new Mitsubishi Triton. This is basically an all-new 2.4 litre twin turbo diesel 4-cylinder. And the big news is 10% more power, 10% more torque, 10% more efficiency, according to Mitsubishi. So we've got 150 kilowatts, but also now 470 Newton meters from as little as 1500 RPM. Amazing for towing. And that is another one of the big new selling points of the Triton, is it has a 3.5 ton brake towing capacity, matching the Ranger and the Hilux finally. So for those out there who need to tow something big, this could be the vehicle for you. Welcome to the front seat of the new Triton, and this is where they've made the biggest step up compared to the previous model. Jump into this car and then jump into the old Triton, and it feels like you've gone back to 2003. It's such a massive difference. This is a much nicer place to sit compared to the previous generation car. A lot more contemporary. I love the row of HVAC controls here. It looks so much more modern than the previous car. We've got a 9-inch infotainment touchscreen. We have a 7-inch sort of semi-digital analog instrument binnacle. And yeah, it's just so much better. Like the seats, they're nice and soft and plush. I can easily imagine doing long trips in a vehicle like this. And yeah, I'm just really impressed with the interior. I can imagine spending, lots of time here without any issues whatsoever. Some things to kind of point out, we still have a manual handbrake, and the instrument cluster, even on this top spec model, is not fully digital, which is a bit of an interesting thing to note. And we have the driver attention monitor here. There's a whole raft of additional safety features on the new Triton. They've mounted the driver attention monitor kind of right where you look at the central screen of the instrument cluster, which is kind of interesting. But on the whole though, such a huge improvement over the previous generation car. This has put the Triton right in the mix there with Hilux and Ranger for interior premiumness. Okay, now let's have a look at the second row of the all-new Triton. Obviously, a lot of these vehicles get used for family duties and stuff like that. And there is a good amount of space back here. This is behind my driving position. And even though footroom is a little bit tight, we can notice the additional 130 millimeters in the wheelbase, mostly sort of here. There's a good amount of knee room. We've got a center armrest. There's pretty good padding. There's not a huge amount of under-thigh support, so I wouldn't want to sit back here for long periods, but it's wide enough. 3 adults could fit reasonably comfortably. You do miss out on the previous nook of the old Triton. That's gone now, but we do have a USB-A and USB-C charger, a 12 volt down here as well. And curiously, the air vents are mounted in the ceiling, much like the old Triton, and a little bit of a treat for second row passengers. You can adjust the fan speed up and down, independent of the front. We did find, curiously, on a hot day here in South Australia, even on full cold, the air wasn't that cold. So not sure if that's a pre-production thing or what have you, but otherwise, this is a really great place to be. All right, let's have a look at the all-important tray of the all-new Triton. Obviously, it is a dual cab ute, so hopefully this will get a little bit of use. Mitsubishi hasn't released any details around GCM, GVM or payload, but they do tell us that it has improved, which is very encouraging. The previous GSR had a 900 kilo payload, and the tray itself is bigger as well now. It's 35 millimeters longer for a total length of 1,555 millimeters. And yes, it's nice and large. You can fit a whole lot of stuff in here, that's for sure. Here we are behind the wheel of the new Triton, and first impressions are good. You notice the steering is a lot lighter and easier to use, of course being an electric system now. The previous generation Triton used a hydraulic steering rack, but there's not that much else I can really say. We're driving around at low speed, as you might be able to tell. There's 18 PSI in the tires. We're in the middle of nowhere here, just driving around off-road tracks. I can tell you that it's very good on sand, with the center diff locked in sand mode. It's very capable, very confidence-inspiring vehicle. But other than that, it's very hard to say much else. The interior is very nice and usable when you're driving. The seats are nice and soft and comfortable. I can imagine doing a long trip in this vehicle very easily, if for no reason other than the seats. But the jury remains out on the ride quality. We're going very slowly. It does feel to handle big impacts quite well, but till we get out on the open road and in the urban environment and hit some speed humps and stuff like that, there's no verdict to come on the ride quality. Mitsubishi has said that they've worked very hard on the ride quality, so we do have high expectations. We can comment on the power. Put your foot down and the Triton pulls noticeably harder from lower in the revs, has really good grunt right up to its 4,000 RPM red line. So if it's grunt you're after, and Mitsubishi has certainly promised that, 10% more power, 10% more torque, you're going to get it in the new Triton. Very impressive grunt. It's certainly a lot of fun as well, driving it out here in this sandy environment. Very confidence inspiring on nice soft sand like this. That is with the diff locked in sand mode and with 18 PSI in the tires. For a novice off-roader like myself, it's very easy to drive. And as some of the more veteran off-roaders here have remarked that it is a very impressive car in this environment. Obviously, this has just been a brief taster of what's to come with this vehicle, and it's a good one. We're very impressed with the steering. The engine has great grunt, really punchy, that lovely turbo diesel torque, twin turbo diesel torque no less. Of course, we'll get to drive the Triton properly and on some bitumen roads closer to its Aussie launch in February. So there you have it, a very early first look at the new Mitsubishi Triton here in South Australia. It's got the all-new design from the ground up. It's got the heavily updated, basically new engine, the beautifully modern interior. It's got the Australian tuned suspension, so many more additional safety features like a center front airbag. It's pretty much got everything it needs to compete in the dual cab class in Australia right at the forefront, including the 3.5 tonne brake towing capacity. But the big question is, can it overcome, obviously, its price? It's up to $7,600 more expensive than the previous generation vehicle, and it just remains to be seen whether it can take on the likes of the Ford Ranger and Toyota Hilux. It'll be very interesting to see. Obviously, we'll get to drive the new Triton properly on Aussie roads and Aussie blacktop in the urban environment when it arrives in Australia February 2024. But until then, a very impressive showing from Mitsubishi, and we can't wait to see how it goes in the sales race. For a more detailed review, make sure you check out the Chasing Cars website. As ever, hit subscribe if you want to see more Australian reviews of local cars like this. Leave any thoughts in the comments below, especially around the styling and whether you would consider the new Triton over something like a Ford Ranger. And of course, hit like if you got something out of this video as well. For now though, thanks for watching Chasing Cars.